Axel Bank, who was there on the lawn when all of this was happening. And Evan, we're learning tonight that this might have just been a false alarm.
Yeah, and that's what it appears to be, of course, when you're, sitting outside of a home, as we are reporting for many, many days now. You're looking for any sign of activity, and at about 6:45, a number of officers just pulled up with their lights on. They didn't have their sirens on, but they did have their lights on, their emergency lights on. So we jumped out of the car and started filming video, started rolling video on our cell phone cameras. And what we saw was a number of officers arrive, maybe a dozen of them or so. They surrounded the house, and then they kind of did a cursory search around the property, and then several went and knocked on the door. They went and checked to make sure everything was all right. Indeed, it was. And then we heard, as officers were leaving, we heard them say to one another, hey, did we get an address for where that call came in from? So they were clearly leaning towards this being a potential false alarm. We learned afterwards, Northport police said that they did get a call for potential shots fired near the Laundrie home. That was found to not be true. We were here. We did not hear any shots fired. No evidence the officers gathered at the scene suggested or indicated that there were any shots fired. And now the person who filed that false report will be investigated for potentially, we don't know if this was done on purpose. There may always be a legitimate claim of something going on. It's not illegal to call 911 if you have accurate information, and if you believe that you have accurate information, you would not be prosecuted. But if you knew that there had not been shots fired, and officers can determine that, then certainly whoever did this would potentially face criminal charges. This is, of course, a serious thing, and we have covered a number of stories about how dangerous that can be when officers go into a situation that is essentially fabricated and made up. Thankfully, in this case, no officers and nobody else was injured. As far as the search for Brian Laundrie goes, we're now on the 6th day of them searching the area of the Carlton Reserve, which is here in Sarasota County. It's about 25,000 acres. There's some in Venice. There's some in Northport, where the Laundrie family is. That's about an hour or so, maybe an hour 20 south of Tampa, if you're familiar with this part of Florida. They have done a 6th day of searching there in the Carlton Reserve, and they have not found any sign of Brian Laundrie yet so far as we know. There are about 75 officers from 16 different agencies going through the Carlton Reserve, literally acre by acre. It's 25,000 acres. Much of it is swampland. About 75% of it is swampland. So it's a very, very difficult investigation. It's a huge area, and it's unclear as to how specific their intelligence is as far as where he might be in the Carlton Reserve. We did learn today that Brian Laundrie was thought to be in a kind of an upset state of mind. His lawyer said today that his parents were concerned that when he went in, he didn't have his cell phone or his wallet. So it would be tough, of course, to track somebody who didn't have a cell phone. These are very, very difficult woods and very difficult terrain and swamp to track. So right now, officers haven't found anything of note yet. We did learn from his attorney that his parents were concerned he might hurt himself. This is what they're telling his attorney, and what the attorney is then telling the media. So we'll have to see where this all shakes out, guys.
Yeah, a couple things, Evan. First of all, thank you so much for being out there and being able to take video. There's been a lot of misinformation in this case. Clearly, it's picked up a lot of traction online, so people have their own theories and are reporting different things. But this is an important lesson for everyone that trusted sources like yourself are where you should be getting the information. So thank you for that, first of all. And then as far as the search goes, they're continuing into tomorrow and the rest of the weekend as well. Is that right?
Yeah, they are going to start searching again tomorrow morning. Generally, they start at around 8 a.m. Or so, 8 to 9, sometimes a little earlier. But the bottom line is they have said that they're going to be covering every potential acre, every acre in the Carlton Reserve. And just so you're aware, people who have different frames of reference, this is the swamp here. It is hot. It is muggy. You cannot survive here for a very long period of time unless you have a lot of supplies. You need a lot of water. You need food. This is a very difficult area for anybody, even a professional, to survive. So without a doubt, we don't know what kind of gear Brian Laundrie has, but it would certainly be a difficult task for him to survive, depending on how long he went into the woods for. Not saying he's not. We don't know how much he has with him. We don't know exactly where he is. But this is obviously going to be a search that's going to go on, and they say until they find him, they have to rule out every possible inch of the Carlton Reserve before they can feel comfortable that he is not there.
You know, it's hard to look into the future of this case and the investigation and the search, but if they do, in fact, look at every acre of the Carlton Reserve and come up with nothing, what next? Because this was pointed to by Laundrie's parents, right? Was the Carlton Reserve. That's the last time. That's the information that they gave to police about his whereabouts.
Yeah. That's exactly right. That's where they say his car was found on Tuesday of last week at the Carlton Reserve. They then say that his vehicle was brought back to their family home here, where I'm standing in front of, a couple of days later. And then he was reported missing by his parents on Friday. So there's 3 days there where he's essentially unaccounted for. We haven't heard from him, or his family has not heard from him since then, we would have to assume, and neither have police. So as far as what next, we don't know if they have gotten other tips. How many tips have come in? Are there credible sightings of Brian Laundrie, either in the southeastern United States, in Florida, or across the country? We simply don't know, because this is standard in any investigation. Police and law enforcement will not tell you everything that comes in until the public needs to know. Part of me wonders if they have not gotten any tips, because if there were credible tips that were coming in that someone who is a suspect in a case like this would be out there, would be out and about, you would assume that they would let the public know, because that could be a public safety issue. But we don't know what they've gotten. They're getting tips, I'm sure, that from across the country, across the Southeast, and many of them are being checked out. We have checked out, maybe a half dozen or so, and they've all proven to be inaccurate information. So, again, we don't know what's coming into police. We don't know how credible the tips that they're getting from around the country. Let's face it, lots of people out there probably think they're seeing him, and just with the kindness in their heart towards police, and towards the to see the resolution of this case, they're calling those tips in, and they're turning out not to be him to this point. But we don't know, and that would be typical in an investigation, as to where he might be right now if he's not in the Carlton Reserve, or if police have gotten credible information he is elsewhere.
Evan, thank you so much for giving us the time right now. We want to ask you all the questions because you've been on this every step of the way.
Keep going, yeah.
Yeah, we will. Don't you worry. We're a stream. I'm curious about these TikTokers or people who are saying that they've picked Brian up as a hitchhiker. Have you guys checked out any of those claims?
Well, we've spoken, Fox News has spoken to some of the people who have said that they have done that. Obviously, that's happening in a completely different part of the country. We know that there are 2 hitchhikers now who say they picked up Brian Laundrie in those key days, right, between August 27th and August 30th. They say that he seemed a little bit jumpy. They say that they were asked to drop him off in a certain place that seemed a little bit unusual. But hindsight's always 20/20, right? It's easy to look back and say, boy, that was weird, when you know what we know now. But if you're sitting there with somebody in the car next to you who seems like an okay person, you might just, let it go and say, okay, you wanted to be let out here. Who am I to judge? Knowing what we know now, obviously that could be key to police for establishing a timeline and making sure that they can pin down where Brian Laundrie was every minute of every day of those crucial days, August 27th to August 30th. The 27th being the last day Gabby's phone sent a text, and August 30th being the day that the credit card,
right,
excuse me, a bug just flew into my mouth, being the day that the debit card was used, that Brian Laundrie has been indicted for, and there's a warrant out for his arrest for. So those are the crucial days. We know that he's picked up at least twice. And officers have spoken to those people.
Okay, yes, that was going to be my next question for you. The arrest warrant, the news from yesterday, no new developments in that.
Yeah, so far as we know. Now, remember, a grand jury often has a scheduled, meeting time where evidence is presented to a grand jury, but those proceedings are secret. A grand jury is not open court. It is, unknown when a grand jury will be brought up and have charges presented to them. The DA or the prosecutors in those areas may have loads and loads of evidence in the death of Gabby Petito. They may have less than that. So you don't know. Grand jury proceedings are secret for a reason, of course. That's to make sure that the integrity of the investigation is preserved until there would be a trial.
And shifting the focus off of Brian Laundrie for just a moment, to go back to Gabby Petito, we are expecting a memorial service this upcoming weekend that was given to us by her father, Joe Petito, tweeting this out and saying that they were going to do something for her out of New York. Are you hearing of any local vigils out in Tampa because, or in Northport? Because I know that's where a lot of the focus has been for this case.
Yeah, absolutely. There are frequently people stopping by the memorial, which is outside of Northport City Hall. Many of these people don't know Brian Laundrie or Gabby Petito. They're simply there because this case has made many people feel very strong emotions, particularly for Gabby Petito. So people stop by, they lay flowers, they pay their respects, they say a prayer, they hug their loved ones, and we've seen people get quite emotional there because of how many people have taken an interest and felt like they've gotten to know Gabby, seeing her social media, seeing her YouTube page, following this case from the many twists and turns of this case. And so, yes, there is a memorial here in Northport. I believe, don't quote me, I believe there is a vigil scheduled for tomorrow. A vigil, of course, is when many people would gather and hold up candles and things like that. I believe that's for tomorrow night. And we also know that in Long Island there is a vigil tonight at Blue Point, where her other hometown is.
All right. Thank you so much. Fox 13's Evan Axelbank giving us the latest. We saw even in that police activity from earlier, neighbors coming out of their homes trying to see if there's any new development in this, because a lot of the focus is going to be on that home out in Northport outside of the Laundrie's house right there where you are. So we'll keep on this, and you keep doing a great job. We appreciate you.